So you can see my screen, right? Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 In the last class, we saw the workings of each component at the engine head and the engine block and all. And now we will learn about basically 4 topics: carburetor, petrol injection system, then CRDI engine, then MPFI engine. So next is the 4 topics. So the first topic we'll be studying today about carburetor. Okay. So a carburetor is a conventional device that was used in SI engines. SI engines in the terms of petrol engines. Okay, it's been used in two-wheelers or conventional engines and all. A component was used called carburetor. So the carburetor's basic function is to mix the fuel and air. So the fuel will be coming from the fuel tank and the air will be absorbed from the atmosphere. So these has to be mixed together to form the air fuel mixture. And this air fuel mixture is then transferred to the engine for combustion. So that is the procedure of petrol engine working. So air fuel mixture enters the cylinder in a petrol engine. So for that air and fuel to mix, the carburetor is the component responsible for that mixing of air and fuel particles. So that is the main function of carburetor, and carburetors are found in gasoline engines or petrol engines. Okay, these petrol engines are the ones in which fuel and air enters into the cylinder, while in diesel engines only air enters the cylinder, and later on the fuel is injected inside the cylinder. But for petrol engines, carburetor is provided, and in that carburetor air fuel mixture is mixed and then carried to the cylinder. Okay, that is the working of a petrol engine. And carburetor, we are going into detail. So carburetor was first developed by an automobile pioneer and Mercedes founder named Carl Benz. Okay, Carl Benz first developed carburetors. Then this is the schematic diagram of a carburetor. This is the component that you will see inside the bike and all. You can see it like this. So there are many components, and we are going in detail about each components. So components of a carburetor. These are the components shown here. So I have written here: throttle valve, strainer, venturi, metering system, idling system, float chamber, mixing chamber, idle and transfer port. Then comes choke valve. Okay, these are the components of a carburetor. So you can see here. Here is the choke valve, the throttle valve, fuel discharge nozzle. There is a float here, the strainer here. This part is known as the venturi, that's shown here, venturi. Then comes the needle valve, float chamber, idling air blade, etc. Okay, these are the parts of the carburetor. So we'll discuss in detail about these parts. So you can see here also, you can see there is the choke valve shown here. Likewise, there is two valves, choke flap or throttle valve, throttle flaps. Okay, two valves. So we'll be discussing about in that detail. So this is the throttle valve. Okay, throttle valve component of the carburetor. It is basically provided after the choke valve. It comes after the choke valve. So the main factor or the main difference of this valve is that these type of valves are called butterfly valves. So it is shaped in the shape of a butterfly. That is, it has two wings. So you can see this flap has two wings. Even if it's a circular material, you can see there are two parts. Hence, it is known as butterfly valves. So this controls, throttle valve controls the mixture of charge air, that is air plus fuel, is known as charge. A mixture of air plus fuel is known as charge. So it controls the mixture of a charge entering into the cylinder. So if the throttle valve is fully opened, more number of air fuel mixture or more amount of the air fuel mixture enters the cylinder. If the throttle valve is opened a little less, consequently, the amount of charge reaching the cylinder will be less. And when it is closed, the charge that is reaching into the cylinder will be negligible. It will not be there, but it will be there. Theoretically, when we say that, it will not be there, but there is a provision for that to happen. That is, throttle valve is always controlled by the accelerator. Okay, the accelerator pedal is directly meshed with the throttle valve. So when we press the accelerator pedal, it engages the throttle valve to open. Okay, the amount of how much we are pressing the accelerator pedal, uh, in the same way the throttle valve also opens. Okay, it is proportional to that only it will open. And when you are pressing the accelerator pedal maximum, at the maximum position, the throttle valve also will be at its maximum position. That is the fully vertical condition. Okay, so that complete charge will be available during each stroke. So why do we need what is the function of the throttle valve? So what throttle valve does is that at each cycle, that means when the vehicle is running, during the first gear condition, we are having low speed conditions. Okay, low speeds conditions, we don't need, we need sufficient amount of charge inside the cylinder to develop heavy power or high power. So you are moving the vehicle from rest or you are moving at a slow speed. At both these conditions, the load that is experienced inside the engine will be very high. So you know that when we try to push a vehicle from rest, it will be a tedious process. It is very hard, right? But if the vehicle is running, so when you are pushing it and it starts running, you will feel, when you push it, you will feel less effort. You have to give less effort. So it is running. Okay. So this is the same principle that is happening here. So at the rest or the slow speed condition, the load will be very high in an engine. So at that time, you have to give more fuel or more charge into the engine to provide maximum power. Okay, for that purpose, we will be pressing the accelerator pedal much higher so that more amount of charge, etc. will enter. When the vehicle is at high speeds, when the vehicle is running at high speeds, you will see that we don't have to press the accelerator much. Okay, at times we don't even press the accelerator pedal. Okay, at that times the throttle valve is partially open or fully closed. Okay, during that time, the charge that enters into the cylinder will be less. So we require only less amount of charge or less power is required for that condition. Okay, that is the function of the throttle valve. So you will ask a question, what happens when throttle valve is fully closed? That is, when we are not pressing the accelerator pedal, the throttle valve is certainly not opened. Okay, it is closed, it is fully closed, but still the engine runs, right, at high speeds. Even when we remove the accelerator pedal, the vehicle still runs. It will not be turned off. So at that time we are using another mechanism that I'll explain in detail later. Next we'll see the next component, that is a strainer. So this is a familiar term. A strainer is nothing but uh, it is a mesh of wires. So you can see here that we will see like a fishing net and all, or that which you use to filter tea leaves. Okay, such things are called strainer. Strainer is a filter, basically a filter. It is present before the float chamber. So you can see here, this is the float chamber here. So there is something called a strainer here. So the function of the strainer is nothing but to filter out particles, heavy particles, or particles that will clog this point. Clogging means block. Okay, some particles may be present inside the fuel, maybe, might not be, or it can be present. And such particles must not clog this point of the carburetor. So to prevent that, we are providing a strainer which filters these particles entering through the that is entering into the float chamber. This is the float chamber where the float is present. The float chamber is there, and the float chamber has a float, and into that float chamber the fuel is poured inside, and this fuel, incoming fuel, has to be filtered, and that filtering process is done by the strainer. And it consists of fine wire mesh which filters the fuel and removes dust and other suspended particles. So any particles that is of heavier size and that can be caught up in the strainer is present in the strainer. Okay, so once the strainer gets clogged, we'll be changing that. That is what, when we do servicing of the bikes and all, sometimes you will get a misfire or a missing condition where you will not get the power and the vehicle is turned off frequently. Okay, the vehicle will be, even while the vehicle is running, it will be turned off. At such conditions, the serviceman itself will suggest that the carburetor will try cleaning the carburetor. So what they clean is basically the carburetor completely, and also the strainer is cleaned. So the strainer may contain many suspended particles or dust particles, and once once we clean that up, basically the vehicle will not have any misfire or missing condition. Okay. Next is the venturi. So this is the carburetor. So this is the venturi part of the carburetor. So this is the original carburetor, you can see, and the venturi is nothing but it's a tube. Okay, you can see the carburetor is basically a tube like this. There is a tube like this, and we are reducing the area at a particular point. Okay, you can see this is a tube. This is a complete tube like this, and at a particular area we are reducing the cross-sectional area. So the area here is reduced, or the volume here is reduced in the same way that is happening here. You can see how it is. So in the when you look at the schematic diagram and the original diagram, there will be a difference here. So you can see the fuel chamber is here and the venturi is in this position, while in the schematic diagram you can see it is in a vertical direction. No matter, any figures are the working is similar. So here you can see the venturi. So the area is decreased over here. Okay, and the reason for doing that is nothing but to reduce the pressure at this area. Okay, to reduce the pressure at this area. So when the air is moving here, once it reaches this low cross-sectional area, so the cross-section is very small, the air encounters more velocity, but pressure decreases. The pressure at this area decreases. Or when we speak about this figure, the pressure across this area decreases. Okay. This decrease in pressure helps in fuel to move from here to here. That I will explain it when I teach you the working of the carburetor. But remember that the pressure at this area decreases due to the decrease in cross-sectional area at the Venturi's throat. So you have studied about the Venturi meter and all in the fluid mechanics, and it's in the same way. Okay, there is a Venturi that is provided here. It is nothing but a tube at which its throat position at its throat. So its center is known as the throat, and at its throat position, the cross-sectional area is decreased. Okay, such an instrument or is known as, or a place is known as Venturi. Next is the metering system. So this part is the metering systems. Here it is shown as main metering jet. So this is the metering session. So the metering session consists of two parts, a metering orifice and a fuel discharge nozzle. Two parts, metering orifice and a fuel discharge nozzle. So metering orifice is nothing but there will be a hole present at this tube that is connected to the float chamber. So if you look here also, you can see this is a float chamber and it is connected by a pipe here, and this pipe is open. There is a small hole here. Okay, that hole, that is the fuel metering orifice. Okay, it's known as a fuel metering orifice. This point is known as a fuel metering orifice. So here you can see there are two holes. Okay, there are two holes here, and due to that there will be two orifices. Okay, orifice is nothing but a hole. A small hole is known as an orifice, and here there is two orifices. There is one here and one here. So the fuel can escape at 2 points. Okay. It differs. It depends upon the amount of fuel that has to escape from that point. That I'll tell you during the working of the carburetor. Anyway, next is the fuel discharge nozzle, and that is nothing but this thing. This thing over here is the fuel discharge nozzle. So here also this is the fuel discharge nozzle. The fuel discharge nozzle is in the shape of a nozzle, wherein this big area is, this is a big volume and it is compressed to this volume. Okay, so the fuel can move through this nozzle. It's termed as a nozzle. Through this only the fuel passes into the carburetor throat or the Venturi. The fuel escapes into the Venturi through this fuel discharge nozzle, and at this nozzle there is a orifice. Okay, so this is the metering system. So what does the metering system do? A metering system, the function of the metering system is to supply the amount of fuel required for each charge. Okay, the charge that is required at the engine cylinder differs due to the point I stated earlier. That is, more amount of power is required during low speeds and less amount of power is required at low speeds. At these conditions, we have to provide sufficient amount of fuel. So for more power condition, we will increase the amount of fuel that is required for the vehicle. Okay, by means of pressing the accelerator, but at that time, the amount of fuel that is escaped through this nozzle increases. Okay, how it increases I will tell you during the working. And at the low speeds, less amount of fuel is required and sufficiently less amount of fuel evaporates from this point. Okay, that is the functioning of the metering system, to give or supply the correct amount or the needed amount of fuel into the charge for combustion. That is the function of metering system. Next is the idling system. Okay, I told you about a condition wherein the throttle valve or the condition in which the pedal is not pressed. Okay, two conditions are there when the pedal is not pressed. That is at high speed conditions and at a rest position. So where will be the rest position and the engine running? So you have encountered traffic signals, right? So at the traffic signal, you naturally stop the vehicle. Not in the means of stopping the engine, but the engine is brought to rest. Okay. But at that time itself, the engine is still running. Okay. So engine is receiving air and also fuel during that condition. So such a condition is known as idling system. Okay, idling system. So when the vehicle is at rest and the engine is still running, that position is known as idle. The engine is at idle condition. That is when the clutch is engaged, disengaged, and the gear is in the neutral position. The vehicle is at an idling condition. So during the idling condition, the throttle valve will be closed. So how does the air and fuel enter into the cylinder? Okay, during that time, during the idling condition, we require more fuel and less air. That is the condition during idling condition, because at the next stage, that is at the position of first gear, the vehicle has to move from rest. Okay, so you have to provide much power into the engine. So during that condition, at the idling condition, only there is a portion shown here. You can see a tube like this, and if you take the schematic diagram also, you can see there is a portion like this. Okay, there is a portion irrespective to this nozzle shown here. Okay, irrespective to this nozzle, there is a line shown here. Okay, there is a line here. Also, there is a line here. Okay. Okay. At this condition, we are providing the air. Okay, this choke valve, if its flap is down here also, you can see a choke valve here, and the choke valve, if it is in the butterfly position like this, such as the throttle, okay, it is in a slanting position, it is not in a horizontal position, but in a slanting position. This is the resting position of the throttle valve. In the same way, the resting position of the choke valve will also be in this position, and during this condition, the air enters through the idling air bleed. Okay, idling air bleed is there. Okay, this happens only when the choke valve is closed. Okay, if the choke valve is not closed, the air can pass through this point. Either otherwise, it will pass through this point. Okay, and when the idle air bleed like this, the fuel also is connected to this point. Okay, the fuel at a small amount also mixes with this, and it will go beneath which point? Beneath the air fuel, beneath the throttle valve. So this condition always happens even when the throttle valve is open and the choke valve is open. Okay, at both these conditions also, the air and the fuel enters through this idling air bleed, but the amount of fuel and air that will be escaping during that condition means wherein the throttle valve and the choke valve is open. So during that condition itself, the air and fuel enters the cylinder, but it will be less comparatively than the fuel that is escaping here. Okay, so it will be much less. So we will have a negligible amount of charge that is coming through the idling system. This is the idling system. But when these both are closed, the choke valve and throttle valve are closed, the significant amount of air and fuel enters through the idling system, and it goes through the carburetor and into the cylinder. So the cylinder gets the charge during idling process through this mechanism, this idling system. So the engine never turns off until we turn off the ignition. Until the ignition is turned off, the engine still keeps running. Next is the float chamber. So it is nothing but the chamber that houses the float inside the cylinder, inside the chamber. Okay. In the carburetor, there is a float chamber. And this float, the function of this float is nothing but to control the entry of fuel into the float chamber. So suppose if this chamber did not have this float, what will happen? The fuel will be continuously running into the chamber and filling up this one. It will be always filled, and it will be, there will be a pressure of fuel. Fuel will be pressured to escape through this nozzle. So that must not happen. We have to supply fuel when we need the fuel only. At which stroke we need fuel? During the suction stroke, that is when the charge has to be inducted into the cylinder. Okay, during that time only we require the mixing of this charge and getting it into the cylinder. So in other time we don't need the fuel to escape through this. Okay, for that purpose we are providing a float which serves as nothing but its density will be, there will be air inside, and due to that air this float rises up, and this float is linked to something known as a needle valve. This is known as the needle valve. So what happens is that when the float is in this position, that amount of fuel that will be inside the float chamber will be less. Okay, and during that time, due to this linkage, if the float is in this position, the needle valve will be open. So you can see it in the conventional schematic diagram itself. There is a float here and this connected here, and when the fuel will be falling into the float chamber. Once the fuel level rises and the float will start to float, and after floating, its needle valve coincides with the pipe that wherein the fuel enters the float chamber. So the needle valve is coinciding with this pipe here, and once the float rises above one point, this needle valve blocks the passage of this fuel entry. So you can see here also, this needle valve rises up and it is wedged in between this pipe. Okay, once this happens, the fuel that is entering into the float chamber is stopped. Okay, so this will be the amount of fuel that is present inside the float chamber. So this is done because to avoid the fuel pressure buildup inside the float chamber, and once the fuel pressure buildup happens, the float chamber itself can be destroyed, or it will have some defects. For that not happening, we are providing a float valve. Okay, next I will take the attendance.